I am live. We are live. I have my mic here with me. It was about to be on the other side again. And then I realized, no, turn that towards your face so people can hear what you're saying. And it's Friday. It's cloudy out. Winter wants to make its appearance, and I don't like it. But it's Friday. And Friday is always a wonderful thing. And we are now 13 days as this live stream is coming to you from the release of the next big Nintendo exclusive on both the Switch 1s and 2s. But I'm going to, of course, get the Switch 2 version, which has extraordinary performance enhancements, not those performance enhancements, that will make the experience far greater. It also will make my videos a lot larger in gigabytes. So YouTube's going to have fun posting those. But this is a time we're getting close to the holiday season. And you would think that with Nintendo sales off year, the Switch 2 sales anyway, being as extraordinary as they are, you would think it would be a time of rejoicing. So many people on YouTube, on the internet, they have claimed that the gaming industry that they apparently love so much is dying because their beloved, precious AAA gaming has gone to shit. It is lazy. It is pathetic. It tries to preach too much and doesn't let you have a good time. And even those that want to have an interactive visual media experience could complain that the interaction is not as supple as it used to be. So here comes Nintendo once again, saving the gaming world like they did in the 80s, as I've mentioned many times before. The Switch 2 is blowing things out of the water, even those that were trying to sabotage or complain about their so-called AAA gaming kind of taking a backseat to Nintendo's latest console, making it seem as though it was just a handheld, it was just a tablet. It's only now catching up to the graphical fidelity of the other consoles. Apparently, it was in contention with complaints of the lies, and they were lies. Some, at best, were, I would say, exaggerations of little kernels of truth, but for the most part, they were lies. All of that's failed. The Switch 2 is breaking records still to this day. We haven't even reached the holiday season yet, which is when, like, Black Friday and Christmas time and everything. This is when gaming consoles really go nuts. And this is one of the reasons why Sony releases their consoles in this period of time. And out of all the games that in this massive year, this launch year, not even year, 6 months, that Nintendo has had, Metroid Prime 4 is the one that is at the forefront, the foreground, the more or less the window display of a rather fine shopping center that Nintendo has been displaying the last 6 months since the release of the Switch 2, probably even before that, with the library they were promising upon release of this console. And that library is becoming more ample as we move closer to next year and everything. And out of all those games, the announcement, the verification that Metroid Prime 4, which was introduced almost 10 years ago, then it was told about 5 years ago that it was going to go through a remodeling process. This highly anticipated game is now finally going to come to life for everybody. There was a 7.5-minute trailer, demonstration, whatever you want to call it, that was released last week. And it was right about when I was doing my live stream where I talked about my complete disgust for another attempt at Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in United States cinema, that Bria told me there's some kind of issue, something that's popped up, some kind of controversy. And you know how the internet loves their controversies. They love their reactions. They love to just knee jerk pop, make a video, as I did about 20 years ago when I first created my other channel, or when I started posting videos on my other channel called Raucous Crocus. I would get a newspaper. I think I've gone through this process that I had, get the paper from my friend, look at the paper, see what was front page, see if there was anything that people might want to hear about after my workout, after my shift, run home, post a video on it. And now this is the way it is. But it goes to show you, when you try to do things on your own for a cheap price, that kind of reactionary type content creation doesn't really get you anywhere. But if you've got money and you've got a bunch of bullshit subscribers or whatever, suddenly it gains interest, momentum. But the thing that I was so excited about was that it wasn't just these medial 10,000 subscriber types, 8,000 subscriber types that we're trying to get up in the foreground and everything. There's that word again. I try not to use the same words over and over again. But it wasn't just that. And I'm not mentioning names of big channels or channels I have no respect for, because you don't deserve it. Not like anyone's really watching my channels or my content, but whatever the case, you don't deserve it. You get enough. But it wasn't just them. Now it's the big channels. They're getting involved. And this is different than when Nintendo Switch 1 announced Shin Megami Tensei 5 as a Switch 1 exclusive, which is what it should have stayed. Because then you wouldn't have had the, I don't want to say embarrassment, but the downgrade on Vengeance. Now, I'm glad Vengeance was released. I'm glad they worked on it. I'm glad a few of the additional things they did in there and everything. But the Vengeance game itself, although the Vengeance upgrades enhanced the original game, which I will keep telling you was one of the greatest games I have ever played in my 40 plus years of playing video games, Vengeance was just not that good. It was good. Pretty good. Do I want to do it again a third time to get all the endings? Kind of not, but it's okay. I'm playing through the original one for about the 7th time, because the original one is the far superior game, whether the internet likes to understand that, admit that or not. But there was a little bit of a story involving the look of the main character, because they claimed he was a little too effeminate with the long eyelashes. Well, I have long eyelashes. What does that mean? I have nipples. Great. Could you milk me? The fact that he had long hair, and somebody pointed out, yeah, in Japan, that's called a rock star. It's just what it is. They took those weird trends from the 60s with heavy metal bands or hard rock bands that then got a little bit more effeminate or glamorous in the 80s here in the United States. Japan likes to keep that going. So that's what he looked like. And that kind of got squashed because nobody really paid attention to it. One person tried to make a video about the wokeness of the echoes of, what was it? Yeah, Echoes of Wisdom. I was right. The Zelda game where, oh no, Link is being replaced by Zelda. That didn't really go anywhere either. There may have been other little bits of complaints or what have you, but not to this extent. And you're going to ask why? What happened? Was it a former writer of Retro posting something on Twitter about a year or so ago, or whatever amount of time it was ago, claiming transgender? Well, I don't remember that ever being the case, but no, that wasn't it. What it is because Nintendo introduced a new mechanic. So let me explain to you how Nintendo works, because they are the greatest gaming company of all time. They know how to make video games. They know how to advance video games. They know how to evolve things. Something that Sony and Microsoft and a lot of other companies that work directly with them don't know. It's not just stealing ideas from others and trying to put your own stamp on it by character development. It's taking new mechanics and putting in more things to it to challenge the user in ways that the previous games didn't do. And in this case, now it's not just keeping Samus alive, or it's not just using Samus's abilities and whatever other tools and progression in the game that you get, it's also meeting other Federation troops. She was once a Federation soldier. This is by the canon of the original Metroid creator. They even made a comic and everything where she had a cute little doll, or it was an animal, but it looked like a doll, because of course young ladies have to have those. And she was part of this army. She's never really broken ties. Her commanding officer, being Adam Malkovich, he was kind of a father figure to her as she lost her family in the human colony on a planet far, far away or whatever. Then the Chozo adopted her and everything. So she was always a part of the Federation, even though she was kind of on her own as a mercenary or bounty hunter, if you will, just to make ends meet, whatever. But ultimately, she knew the soldiers from this group, and they got stuck on this planet together. So now she's going to try to find them. They'll help her out and everything like that. It seems as though there are about 4 or 5 troopers, but there was one in particular who shows up on the thumbnail. I forgot his name. So in this, it was Max Muncy or Mike McKenzie, one of those, whatever it is. He seems to be a guy with glasses who's a little quirky. Now, Nintendo is still a Japanese-centric company, and Japan, especially in anime, has their tropes. One of their tropes is the comic relief, the bumbling, stumbling, or sometimes just eccentric scientific type. Hey, Zelda had it. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom had Robbie, right? The doctor with the weird hair and everything who used to pose all the time. They do this kind of stuff in virtually every cartoon, in so many video games, and now in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which is going to be about Samus Aran, whatever you pronounce her last name as, her getting off this planet and saving people in what's obviously a game that revolves around her as a solo act with just a little assistance from people she has to help. The internet has lost its fucking brains and turned it into this kills Metroid Prime. One of the things that I absolutely love, and please bring this on over and over and over again. I've said this a million times, and it's something that's been going on since, because now I'm watching the trilogy again, let me compare it once more to one of the best forms of cinema the United States can produce, episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars. When people would say that the original creator or creators in Metroid Prime's sense, they don't understand the series. George Lucas didn't get Star Wars. George Lucas made Star Wars. Maybe you didn't get Star Wars. And considering all you so-called fans only like what you think is Empire Strikes Back and what you thought was A New Hope, and all of this expanded universe trash that is nothing more than plagiarism, which George Lucas, the creator, had said several times before, had nothing to do with his redemption story of a fallen hero, a tragic fallen hero, not a villain. Darth Vader was not a villain. He was a tragic fallen hero. This is as per George Lucas, the creator. Okay? Not a bunch of comic book wannabe nerds, rich kids who had everything handed to them and wanted to put their own staple on their own personal interests, their fan service, and their wet dreams involving the somewhat cybernetic samurai. No, this is as per George. Just look up the interviews, watch his interviews, watch all the extra stuff on the Blu-rays and everything. George Lucas would tell you that Anakin Skywalker, especially when it came to him being birthed by the Force, was a take of Greek, Roman, tragic heroes. And like most Greek, Roman, Greco-Roman tragic heroes, or heroes in general, or kings and pharaohs of the past, they were claimed to have, or in the stories had been, birthed by some kind of divine intervention. So in the case of Star Wars, Anakin was made by the Force, not by Darth Plagueis, That's fucking stupid. And your claims that that's what it was, they're fucking moronic. That's why you're not a Star Wars writer and George Lucas created it. So when it comes to Metroid, oh, they killed Metroid Prime. They don't understand Metroid Prime. Okay, so the people that have been working on Metroid Prime, more or less since the beginning, and the ones that have been working on this one since the redo, more or less, they don't know anything about Metroid Prime. They don't understand it. This character, who's probably going to be in the game about 20 minutes of what could be a 7+ hour game, he's going to destroy the game. So this now has opened up the floodgates, and the big channels are trying to destroy this game before it comes out with their stupid, childish garbage. They're reactionary videos that are based off of something said in a tweet or some kind of rumor, none of which has any real merit, weight, or truth to it. But you know what I said? Hey, any publicity is good publicity. Nintendo finally made it. Because I want you all to remember how I explained this to you before. According to the internet, the world didn't begin until the internet. So YouTube, although it has all these documentaries and even footage, even programs, recordings from the past, the people that own YouTube, and I don't mean the actual owners, I mean the people that bring the viewers to YouTube, more or less, the popular channels, the rich kids that own everything because their parents gave it to them, including their little channels that have become virtually networks like ABC, CBS, TV networks. They have that much coverage, they have that much support, and they have that much presentation, money, backing, everything. These people insist that nothing was good until after they were born, and nothing really matters until the internet told you that it mattered, which means they told you that it mattered. Like, I'll give you, for instance, I read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein via it wasn't just an audiobook, but they put the text up on the screen. I said this before. You can read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein on the internet. You can have it cited, dictated to you on audiobooks here on this forum. And you can tell why that's a masterpiece. Because a woman wrote at a time when women were not expected to do much more than have kids and cook and whatever. But a woman wrote a book about the ills of man's society, inspired by a vision that kept her up one night when they were telling ghost stories. A lot of people back then, pretty much the majority of the European race, had believed very firmly in Christianity, especially Catholicism. I know, strange, right? Believing in something bigger than yourselves. And the idea that men were trying to reanimate dead organic life through electricity was considered to be unholy. It was like black magic. I mentioned this before. So she wrote this book based on society as a whole and how they can destroy innocence. These movies totally took that idea and shit all over it, made it violent, macabre, grotesque, and completely missed the point. Putting their own ideals in there. So, of course, the internet thinks it's great. Well, it's a faithful adaptation. Even Kenneth Branagh's, however you pronounce his last name, even his version, which was supposed to come directly from the book, changed way too many things, including the fact that he never actually created a wife for her, for the creature. He stopped, and that's why the creature got pissed. There was never a time where there was any kind of brutal murder. He didn't rip anyone's heart out. Somebody even mentioned the violence against women and how they're trying to outdo one another, and it's become a very disgusting practice here in the United States, and it should be undone. This is something that was never even touched upon when I was a kid. You didn't show violence against women. Women were never put in those situations to begin with. Like Alien was like, oh my God, a woman against an alien. Like, you didn't see anything happen to the women. You barely saw anything happen to the men either. But violence against women was taboo, to say the very least, especially in still civil society. It's just the United States doesn't care because the United States is a misogynistic shithole. Oh, I'm sorry, it's feminist. Women have taken over, apparently, according to these assholes on the internet. But to me, it's like saying when you see all this visceral violence towards women, it's more or less the numbnuts in Hollywood saying, "Oh, you want equality? Well, then we'll just butcher you like we do ourselves." Or another take on it. Oh, what's the matter? You don't like the fact that we're not allowed to sexually assault you or molest you? Well, then we'll just kill you in brutal ways. Get people off on that. And it's kind of like the same thing that's going on now with The Shining. I watched a special. Now, I'm going to put it to you like this when it comes to Stephen King. The guy's an alcoholic drug addict that wrote whatever it is he saw flying around his room. He has tremendous skill when it comes to penning paper, all that stuff. But when it comes to plots and storytelling, he fucking sucks. And the only reason why he is where he is because he was born with everything, like everybody that is where they are on the higher echelon in the United States. And he was like, like YouTube. He was able to get all the support. He was able to get all the advances. He was able to have everybody pay for his initial success and everything to get to the point where he was selling all these books. He's a great selling author. He is a terrible author, especially when it comes to horror. And now suddenly on the internet, The Shining is like this masterpiece. No, it sucks because all it is Stephen King writing about himself again, because that's all he does, telling about how you shouldn't beat your kids and drink too much. Yeah, that's not a universal plot. So The Shining, when the Stanley Kubrick version of it came out, my sisters and I, when we were kids, would watch it and make fun of it. Now suddenly it's this masterpiece. See, this is what happens with the numbnuts on YouTube. They make shit up as they go along because they like it. And they don't like the fact, going back to my initial concept here with this video, that Nintendo is winning. No, Nintendo has won. It's over. There's no getting back up. Okay? Microsoft has conceded. Sony keeps trying to pick its bloody ass beaten up face off the canvas, and they can't do it. But they keep trying. And I'm sure there will be loyal Sony numbnuts that piss away more of their money on the PlayStation 6 and everything. But by then, it most likely will be too far gone, too far late. Nintendo won. They didn't try to engage in war. They were trying to make video games more accessible, more engaging. Everybody else sucks at making video games, with the only exceptions being Capcom and probably From Software. 2 Japanese companies, by the way. 2 Japanese companies. So we have 3 Japanese companies. And even From Software, even though they try to evolve their initial experience of Demon Souls, they just keep making Demon Souls. Let's be fair. I'm going to get Elden Ring. I'm not going to get Elden Ring. I'm going to motherfucking download Elden Ring, okay? I'm not even going to get a key card. I'm going to keep that game with me till the day I'm dead. You want to know why? Because I'm sick. I have to practice patience, and From Software games can help me do that. And then I'm going to get Dusk Bloods. And somebody was mentioning that there might be this explosive announcement. Could it be that From Software is working directly with Nintendo and there will be previous titles that you didn't think would come out, like Bloodborne or Sekiro or both? Would we somehow get all the Dark Souls games? The possibilities are endless. But whatever the case, when it comes to this war, it's been long over, right? And just for more proof, Sony tried to make a gaming movie series. They're a movie company. They tried to make one with Uncharted. Bombed. Nintendo makes one fucking movie over $1 billion in a month. Nintendo owns the world in the gaming industry. I'm sorry to tell you this, folks. But the internet doesn't want you to believe that. The internet wants you to think that it's still up to Call of Duty and Modern Warfare. And they keep talking about how the newest games are not getting the same play on Steam. Now, again, Steam stats don't mean anything to me because Steam is one format. These games are typically released on at least 3 or 4. But they're already acknowledging that the interest in these games is waning, and soon it will go away. because they're not really video games. They're not trying to be. They're trying to be more, or they're trying to elicit the idea that they're more by cutscenes and realistic graphics and the word fuck and blood everywhere and women with tattoos trying to be like men and everything. All the shit that they include is not just so they can avoid backlash on Twitter or whatever, but it's also so that they can look like they really are embracing everybody because they're bigger than video games. And then they rig the awards to make it seem like these games are what win and what people want. No, they're not. People want to have a good time. And that's why Nintendo's winning. And that's why Nintendo won. And that's why Nintendo will continue to win until somebody can come up and start making some fucking video games. And no, Steam making a giant box that just acts as a CPU doesn't count because no one's going to buy that fucking thing. Like no one's buying the Steam Deck. Like no one's buying the stupid ass Exxon or whatever $1,000 buddy that Microsoft released. They're going to buy Switch 2s. They're going to buy Nintendo consoles. They're going to buy Nintendo exclusives because these are the games that sell. And now all these other companies who understand the market, they are now jumping onto the Switch 2, like they were trying to do on the Switch 1 because they know this is the way to go. Metroid Prime 4 is a perfect example of how now the internet is starting to get it through their little, pathetic, puerile, thick skulls. Nintendo rules the roost. And thankfully, because if they love the industry so much, they, I would expect, would be grateful. But no, we can't have nice things on the internet. So here comes Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, this phenomenal looking game. It looks incredible and adding something. It's not just Samus on her own with updated versions of previous songs you knew before. It's not just her going from light to dark, new suits, new powers. It's not her having a motion control option or opportunity to pull batteries in and out of certain slots. I plan to do some slots myself. Or pulling throttles on your ship, flying your ship. It's not just adding the ship mechanics to the game. Now you're riding a motorcycle. Now you're engaging with other Republic soldiers. Now you're doing things in a new planet with new abilities like psychic abilities. It's extraordinary. The concept of it seems so incredibly, ridiculously over the top. I can't wait, right? And I'm an old fuck. I don't look forward to anything anymore. There are a couple of things that I might get a little enthusiastic about, but when I was in my 20s or even when I was in my early 30s, if I can get the word early out, I had kind of a vocal snafu today because I keep trying to say 5 words at once. But that's when I was doing my recording of Age of Imprisonment. Another really, really good game. Really good game. That's a Nintendo exclusive. I could play that game again. It's very easy to pick up, to play through. Time flies when you're going through it. It's a Warriors game. What do you expect? I mean, in about 14 hours, I think I fought 85 Hinoxes, but it's a Warriors game. What do you expect? But in that playing of that game, another great Nintendo game, it was just the idea that they expanded their mechanics as well. And it just enhances the gameplay when you do stuff like that, which other companies like Sony, like these AA wannabe, AAA companies, everything, they don't do. They don't innovate. And the gameplay becomes stale. So now with games like this, with the Nintendo exclusives, it's bringing gaming back. It's exciting again. So even though I was playing this game and I'm having a good time with it and everything, I didn't really look forward. I'm kind of looking forward to this game. Okay? And I'm bitter. I'm old. I don't like anything. But I'm looking forward to this game. And it just was really something to me to see these people, and I'm going to call them these people, because they're not you. They're not me. They're not common folk. They're not middle class, working class, blue collar. They're not poor. They're well off. They have to be in order to get where they are. In fact, when YouTube offered me a chance to advertise, to have like a subscribe button on one of my videos, $200 a month, just for like 5 countries and the United States. $200 a month. Just that alone, advertising, is ridiculous. So could you imagine how much money they have to spend to get anywhere outside word of mouth? But I just found it hilarious and sad at the same time, kind of an oxymoron, that these people would make such a big fucking deal about a character who will probably make up about 2% of the fucking game. It's ruined. It's over. They don't know Metroid. They killed it. This, that, it, because of not even 20% of a 7.5 minute demo. It's not even 2 minutes of a time it. Correct me if I'm wrong. That this Miles Morales, whatever his name is, the guy with the glasses, doesn't even make up 2 minutes of a 7-minute demo. You're trying way too hard, guys. It's okay, though. Keep trying. Because the more you bitch and moan about things not going your way for the first time, the more that you have to admit that now, because From Software is releasing an exclusive on the Switch 2, and that is really what started all this anger, this rancor, this hostility towards not just the company, but the people who prefer real video gaming over whatever it is you guys think is so damn good. Let them hold your hand. Let them give you ways you can exploit and cheat. Even walk through the scenery for your speed runs. You do you. But you lost, and you don't like it because you don't usually lose. Even though you're losers, you somehow get what you want. Well, we know why, because you're in a capitalist society and you have all the money. That's why you love capitalism so much. And then you complain about nepotism in the video game industry. Your excuses, well, the reason why they are where they are is because of who they know. Yeah, that's the reason why you are where you are. So you don't like capitalism, but whatever. Not going to get into politics. But you're so angry that you lost, that this is now the next stage. Because you know Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the highest selling Metroid Prime game, most likely. I don't know. I didn't look at the numbers overall about the re-release of Prime itself. But you know it's going to completely blow away the competition. You know it's going to sell even more consoles. You know, by the time we get to the next year, before any of the From Software games have come out still, before the Final Fantasies have come out, before the Resident Evil 9 Requiem and the other 2 games come out, which, by the way, I have mine fully paid, ready to go. Just got to go pick it up when the day comes. And when Fallout comes out on the Switch 2, and when all these other games are getting imported to the Switch 2, including possibly Grand Theft Auto 6, which I couldn't really care less about, but whatever. Witcher 4, I would get that. Anything CD Projekt Red, I would get. When all this starts happening, and Sony and Microsoft and all these others get phased out, you're going to have to go back and buy a Switch 2 if you haven't already, and you're going to have to treat that like the other companies, and it's not going to work because people are going to look at you and realize you're full of shit. Because you can't play Donkey Kong Bonanza and say you didn't enjoy yourself. You can't play Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment and say you didn't enjoy yourself. You just can't do it. It's virtually impossible unless you really just don't want to have fun playing a game. I mean, are there points where it's not as fun? Yeah. But the majority of the game, especially the games that these people love so much, my God, you can't be serious. So that's what it was. That's what it is. That's what was going on. It's hilarious. You just got to go on your YouTube channel now. And if you've ever accidentally hovered over something involving a leftist agenda or whatever, you're going to see that they're going nuts about this one character. Not even 2 minutes. I'm not even sure if he took up 1 minute in what was displayed. And he's going to ruin the game. Okay. Well, listen, we've got less than 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, when I come back, I'm going to have gone through, I would have gone through about 2 hours of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I'll let you know just how bad, what's his name again is, and what the game is like itself. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna have a friggin' blast. That the From Software game is gonna make me nuts. Hell, Civilization 7 is making me nuts because these updates. I was winning a game with Augustus, most likely anyway, and then the game wouldn't stop crashing. That's with the latest update. That bothers me because that has not been a problem with this game on the Switch 2 for since I think 1.2.1 or maybe 3, somewhere in between. And now suddenly it happened in the exploration age. So that's a major problem. So I was hoping that's because I think I started that game before the update came, the new 1.301 update, and that it kind of messed with something or whatever, or that one of my allies just turned on me for Blackbeard. But whatever it is, we're going through a Hatshepsut game now, and I'm doing a lot of the sign of the cross because I can't have this game just get corrupted. I'm sure it's not the case, and I don't want to have to wait for another update. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing now on that channel. My gaming channel is Age of Imprisonment. But we're going to see what happens in about 2 more weeks. I would also like to get an update as to when the hell Elden Ring's coming out. When's it coming out? I'm going to pre-order it with my own money. I'm going to have it ready when it comes out. I'm going to start playing through it. Should be great. Should be great. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's going to be torturous. I'm pretty sure it's going to be torturous. But damn it, I am going to have a good time being tortured with that one. I don't know why. Only Miyazaki can do what are called Soulsborne. He's the only one that can do them. And even that's a problem. But, that's what's coming up. It should be fun. Next week is going to be the day after Thanksgiving when I come on. I will be on here. I may be completely warped because I'm going to have to drive a great distance since the beloved United States, this great free country, doesn't give your family an opportunity to live anywhere near you unless you want to move out of your way to catch up to them because, those corporations that don't own us at all, they just force us into having to move 40, 50, 150 miles away from each other. So I'm going to be kind of out of it, but I will soldier through it with a bunch of videos and everything on my 3 main channels. Still trying to figure out what to do with the 4th channel. But as of now, I'm going to just finish this up and I'm going to do some research, which may or may not lead to my eyes shutting and me losing track of what time it is. So I will see you all. I promise I'm going to try to put more of an effort to make more videos on this channel. So it's not simply when a game comes out. I still want to do a Xenoblade Chronicles is overrated or underrated. I'm sorry. Seeing as how I have all the games, all the Xenoblade Chronicles games on my channel. I don't like to rip videos, period, but I certainly don't like to do it of other people's channels. But we'll see what we do. So I will catch you all next week. I hope whoever is celebrating the holiday of gluttony, I hope you all have a wonderful and safe and happy Thanksgiving. And I will see you next week.